All right. This should be a little bit better. What in the hell? Let me edit this. How is it 3 minutes behind? That's crazy. Oh, that's not 3 minutes behind. That's just an old thing there. There we go. This is much better. And it is public. All right, cool. Oh, all right. We got 2 people in the chat. What am I gonna make today? All right. Well, one. Sorry for being all late with everything. I'm gonna blame it specifically on technology, even though I'm the one who's using the tech. So what I'll be making today is gonna be. I'm gonna finish the interior pieces for the Valentine's Day project I was working on yesterday. So hold on, let me. You know what? Let me go grab it because it's sitting over in the workshop that I use for all the paints and the dyes and everything. Ugh. All right, sorry for the jumbled nature of the workshop. All right, so it's going to be some of this action right here. So this is going to be the front with the pockets. Come on, line up for me, making me look bad on stream. So this is going to be the front piece. I'm going to add the antique a little bit later. Let me rotate that some. And the back piece right here is basically the same as this. The view's kind of fuzzy. All right, I will bring it down so that it'll only have a closer plane to focus on. But yeah, and then the back right here, same thing, same camouflage tool around the side. I live streamed this the other day, yesterday morning. So I'm gonna glue those together, get those ready to be stitched. Same thing with this piece here, and I don't know what I'm gonna do for the back. This piece is ready to be stitched, but I'm gonna hand stitch it. Hold on, I said I'd bring it closer, so let me not make a liar out of myself. All right. And I don't know if I'm going to go with an exotic hide for this piece here, I've got a couple of pieces already out here. Or if I'm going to go with something different, like this piece here from I got from the Tannery Row. It's a Renard leather. I really love the texture. And honestly, as much as I love the exotics and people find them interesting, I sell more of the, I guess, standard cowhide, horsehide stuff than anything else. So I'm going to focus on having a lot of those. And now I'm just clearing stuff out of the way. This was something I had knocked out that I realized honestly wasn't appropriate for still fuzzy. Maybe my camera is just dirty. Let me go and grab a cloth for that. Let me see if I can mess with the settings here. All right, I can't do it there. Maybe I can control it here. Quality, yeah, it's at it's at 720. I can't increase the resolution any further. Actually, it was set to auto, but because of my connection, it was giving me 720. But like I was saying about this one here, this one is shell cordovan on the inside, kangaroo, shell cordovan on the outside, kangaroo on the inside. Good wallet, can, sell it for a lot of money. It's worth it. Not really appropriate for your standard farmers markets and fairs and whatnot, because the price that this would have to go for is much higher than what you would see in those sorts of things. This would be something more that I'd try to sell online on my Etsy shop or at a boutique or something like that. Same thing with this one here. This one is also a marbled shell cordovan, but I decided to go a little crazy and I stitched it with 14 karat gold wire because why not, right? So I keep my shell together. I'm going to clean those edges up, call it good. I'm also going to take the time to finish putting together a few things that I started for the fair, but then realized unless I made a lot of it, it wouldn't have as much draw. So I'm going to add the liner to this finally. It turns out that it actually got a lot more traction than I thought, but it was on TikTok of all things, and I didn't get any of those alerts. Yeah, it might just be the camera. I think because it's a pretty good iPhone, although it's not the most recent iPhone. And I know the camera is good in general, but I don't know how good the camera is for live streaming. Oh, I love these. I've used them a couple of times, and I have had zero issues with them, except for opening them, mostly because my hand is all messed up. I don't like recommending expensive things to people, but I don't see a downside to using these if you are using them for work, or if you just really like to make nice things for people and gives them as gifts. The Cinnabrocks stitching chisels are rock solid. All right, let's remove some of this clutter. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the liner for this one. The Harry Potter, I'm sorry, the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry houses. Strictly speaking, there's a lot more schools and therefore a lot more houses. So that's going to happen. Not sure if that's going to be on stream though. I'll have to go back and forth to my, I guess my dirty workshop. That's where I do all of the barge glue and the dyeing, where I do my tooling. I have a proper table for it. This table here looks like a workbench, but it's not. It's a tool chest from Stanley, I think. Husky. I'm sorry, from Husky. And I've got a whole bunch of storage for all of my stuff, my patterns and my templates up here, my sharps, my blades and my bevelers, stuff like that. All of my stuff for the tooling up here, which will soon be shifted over to the other room. Hardware / miscellaneous, my cutting dies, all that stuff. But this table is floating a bit. They're on the work. Yep. You know what? I have Sony cameras. I'm a Sony fanboy. And they are good. Actually, they're great for streaming, but you can't stream from your mobile with your Sony. I've tried. I've looked into all of it. You need to either get one of those Elgato USB devices and you can stream from your laptop, or you have to download some program from Sony and then plug your camera straight into your laptop for it. And there's just no room for a whole laptop here in my workstation, in my workspace. I need an extra table and all sorts of other stuff. So I'm stuck either streaming from the GoPro, which, great camera though it is, when you live stream to YouTube at least, you have to, or it will only allow you to live stream in widescreen. There's no way around that, at least not for this model of camera. And I'm not going to spend between $400 and $600 for a different camera just to not stream in widescreen. So I'm stuck with that one. Maybe I will switch phones, because the phone that I normally use is a model higher up than the one currently being used right now. And maybe I'll swap phones for the next stream. That camera, truthfully, it's not that it should be better, it's designed to be better. So there's no reason why the results won't be superior. All right, so now I've got the pieces off to the side that I will be using later. You know what? I think I will for this piece. I don't like this. This has a little smudge or something like that on there. So I'm going to use this as the back piece and the bottom piece. This is scrap. A guy asked me for a wallet tooled with his initials on it. Then when I told him it was almost done, he starts asking me about all this other stuff that he never told me about. And at no point did he even apologize for not clarifying or anything like that. I don't normally work with people who keep things to themselves or who like to spring stuff on you. So he's just not going to get the rest of this, or he'll get it when I'm done. It would be different if the way that he went about addressing what he needed afterwards was at least a little bit more polite. He was kind of condescending. So, I mean, I'll get there when I get there. Didn't know that, but nice to know. Oh, about the GoPro? Yeah. I have a Hero 8 Black. I would imagine that I would say maybe not the Hero 9, because I saw the same things about streaming on Hero 9 and every example was widescreen. But the Hero 10 and beyond probably have something better. But by all means, please do your research for the GoPros if you're going to use them for live streaming. I don't know if it's a live stream setting or if it's a YouTube setting, but you don't have the option in camera or in app of changing that with the Hero 8 and the Hero 9. So if you're thinking about live streaming with your GoPro, and either make sure that your camera is far enough away that you don't have that warped effect, because of the widescreen aspect, or consider using something else. All right. I don't think that I have talked about it much, but I use a cutting die for a lot of things that I need to make a lot of consistently. I was using acrylic templates for a bunch of things like these, but somebody locally in the area was selling a cutting die for these, and it was only very slightly different than what I was already using. So I hit him up and I was like, I want that, give it up. And so I got met up with him. I got one of the last ones he had because he only had about 4 or 5. And I've been knocking these out pretty consistently, and I love it because everything is where it should be. When human beings, we are fallible, and not everything is going to be perfect all the time, even when you use acrylic. Maybe your hand is a little bit off in one direction. Maybe when you're punching the holes, your force or the angle might be a little bit off. But when you're using the dies, everything is repeatable. So for a lot of things that I've been using, the dies are the way to go for me, and they save a ton of time, whole lot of time. So, oh wow, my voice just cracked. I guess I'm still hitting puberty. So the front piece for this is this piece right here. And because that other piece had a little blemish on it, I'm gonna cut another from the piece that came from this. Actually, no, I'm not. I just got the idea. I'm gonna have alternating colors. So it's gonna be this one, then this, and then the bottom piece, and the back piece. There, I've given myself extra work to do. There is something to be said about you get what you pay for. The press that I got here, it was a deal. One of the local guys in the valley, he was getting rid of. Where do I buy my supplies from? Are you a one-shop guy? Do you shop around? I necessarily have to shop around. I'm very lucky about where I live. I live in South Texas, and leathercraft is huge down here. Very, very huge. A lot of farm workers, a lot of ranch hands, a lot of cowboys and cowgirls, a lot of amateur and professional rodeo participants. And so I don't have to convince as much. I don't have to try that hard to explain to people the importance and the quality and the craft for leather work as much as I would if I were in, say, San Diego. Me letting someone know that something is top grain leather like this. Actually, let me see if I can find another example. All right, here we go. So this is Horween Derby, if I remember right. It is, again, from the Horween Tannery. It's got amazing pull-up. So it's got a lot of fats and liqueurs and oils and whatnot already built into it or tanned into it. I've got kangaroo hide on the inside, and kangaroo is a really strong material. It's more fibrous per weight than any other leather out there. And it is saddle stitched, and I used alternating colors for the stitch here. So here in the valley, when I tell somebody that this is top grain leather with kangaroo, most people here understand the benefit of what I'm telling them. If I were in some place like, say, I mean, not to pick on the West Coast, but San Diego, San Francisco, something like that, the only people who are going to know that full grain is better are people who are in the fashion industry or for people who do leather work. Everybody else, it's going to be kind of a thing that goes over their head. Those folks out there won't mind having a genuine leather belt for $50 or for $35, as opposed to paying $80 for a full grain belt that will last them the rest of their life, long as they don't gain or lose too much weight. So I'm really lucky out here. So there's the ease of the sale is better, and then there's a lot of leather workers, a lot of guys. One guy, he decided to do this full time, and he got rid of his more, I guess, for him, amateur equipment. So he didn't need this press anymore over here. He didn't need this press. Come on. Here we go. So he sold it to me because I needed the press, and he also had some dies. So I got the dies from him, and he used that money to buy himself a little bit better stuff than what he had. I got something at a discount that I really needed, and I saved myself some time and money, or saved myself some time and therefore saving myself some money, being able to have reproducible pieces all the time. Make sure I don't have this in the wrong spot. There we go. So what would have taken me maybe a minute or so to mark out, cut, maybe more, while I'm talking to you all, I have went down too hard on that one. This is the downside to having my hand all jacked up. Can't just do things the way everybody else does. All right. Bam. And I'm not sure if everybody here is a fan of Tandy leather. Tandy is pretty good for most things. The folks that work up at the Tandy over here are very experienced and very knowledgeable despite being pretty young. Keep in mind I'm 42, so young is a little it's a little bit different for me. I mean, I would call somebody who's 25 young. Meanwhile, somebody who's 25 would probably object to that. But still. So, back piece. There we go. So we've got something alternating. Another thing that I didn't think would benefit me so much living here where I live, again, I live in South Texas, is that people appreciate the sturdiness of a piece. I have had to spend a lot of time when I was living elsewhere getting pieces and then skiving them down, making sure they're all, slim and sleek, or buying like 1 to 2 ounce leather for interior pieces. And out here, man, people enjoy a good, thick, sturdy wallet. So I can cut the pieces and maybe just skive the bottoms of the pockets and then attach them, and we're good to go. So I don't need to make the leather a little bit thinner to make the client happy. All right, so there we go. Any advice for a newbie getting started, get supplies and tools on the cheap? Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to give you some advice for getting started that has that does not come from a leather worker at all. I'm going to give you some advice from, of all people, Kid Rock. So Kid Rock, for his first couple of albums, before Devil Without a Cause came out, he actually, hold on, I'm sorry, let me close this door. I got contractors working here. So he was working as a janitor in a music studio, and he was working there for below the average rate because they said he could use he asked for a lower rate, but he also asked if he could use the equipment, and they let him work for cheap and use the equipment for free. And he made his first, I think, 2 albums for damn near nothing. He didn't have to pay for studio time. He learned the equipment himself, or kind of eavesdrop while he was working, so he got better at it on his own. So he didn't have to pay for studio time. Only thing he ever had to pay for was maybe pay for the artist that might have featured on one of his songs. Outside of that, he did it on his own. He absolutely was like, if it's not free or cheap, I don't want it. When you are getting started, if you can get it for cheap, get it. If you can get it for free, obviously don't steal. But if you can get it for free, get it. Look on Facebook posts. It sounds a little opportunistic and morbid maybe, but estate sales. There's a whole lot of people who have inherited things from people who have passed away that they just have no use for, to include all sorts of things like tools and whatnot. So check all of those sorts of things out. The Facebook Marketplace. I think Craigslist is still a thing. I haven't heard anybody say anything about Craigslist in about 2 years, but maybe it still exists or it's still popular. Making some tools. If you can make tools, well, one, that's awesome, because as I understand it, steel is cheap, and I don't mean that to say like it's a cheap material, but steel is easy to buy, and it's not crazy expensive. So if you know what you're doing, you can buy some steel and make it into something, and then run it through the hardening cycle, and you have something useful. And if you are great at finishing on those tools that you make, you'll probably be able to sell what it is that you have. Man, let me get my radio out of the frame here. It's ridiculous. Can I still rotate some of that? No, radio's still in frame. More the desk is, though. Okay, that's a little bit better. So, if you're good at making tools and the finishing is on point, man, sell them. I mean, that way, whatever money you make from that, technically speaking, other people are paying for you to perform and get better at leathercraft. It's a double win. And but truthfully, that's technically another job. So if you don't want to do that, but if you can make your tools, you're winning. Absolutely winning. You're beating everybody else. You'll be able to make the tools for very little, comparatively speaking, and the amount of time that you put into making something, strictly speaking, economically speaking, lowers the overall cost of production. So if the cost is lower and the price is the same, the profit margin is higher. Boom, economics 101. Yeah, the cost on some, oh man. All right, so this is going to be a hand stitch, so let me move this off to the side here. Let me prep. I've talked about it a couple of times on my streams, but these things right here, the silicone glue spreader and these plastic glue spreaders, as long as you are not a forgetful person, and as long as you aren't overly aggressive with these things, worth the money. Absolutely worth the money. The glue doesn't stick. It's a smooth plastic. So use it, glue is on it. As soon as you're done with it, let the glue get a little tacky, take it off, roll it, throw it away, use it again. Same thing with this one. This one just moves a little bit better, and you have this side here and this side here for wider and narrower application. These things are money. No downside to using those. All right. Much as I don't wanna, I do have to skive down. I thought I had a small stone, but I do not. This is my smallest one. So that's getting skived down, and these two. It's best to skive on the glass. However, it's not that bad. All right, so since we're here, which one should I skive with? Should I go with the French beveler, the Japanese skiving tool, or this large ridiculous one that I got from vintage crafts over in Russia? Regardless of the answer, where'd I get my stone? So I got this stone from Tandy. I have another much bigger stone that I have in the room that I do all the tooling and everything in, from where the hell did I get that from? I cannot remember, but I like this one. This one's great. It's quartz. The other one's quartz, but it's a little bit bigger and wider, if I'm not mistaken. All right, give me 25 seconds. Didn't even need all of that. Here we go. Actually, what I'm gonna do, because I've been using the green polishing compound, what's your first go-to knife? Truthfully, if I'm gonna skive something this size, well, I'm only gonna be skiving right here. I would use the Japanese skiving knife. For me, it's the easiest to control, and it requires a side-to-side motion as opposed to a push. This is completely unnecessary for something this size, although because it's ergonomic, it is possible to do. I wouldn't do it normally, but I did want to offer it just to be funny. Let me put that away because it's never a good idea to just leave the blades out. All right, yeah, I'm gonna try to get this green stuff off. It is nice, but the longer I've been using it, the more I realize I don't need it to be that fine. The white powder and the blue powder is more than sufficient. Now, if you were trying to get a mirror, so like just a super crisp finish on your knife, then yeah, the blue and the green is the route you should go. But if that's not what you're going for, the white polishing compound is more than sufficient. This is the same sort of stuff that they sell at Tandy, but they sell it in a small white bottle. Or it's the same thing, but it's in a bottle and it's smaller. I guess technically the bottle isn't white, it's one of these. All right. Goes back, goes back, goes back. Since I'm not using a French beveler, that goes back also. So this one's a little bit weird. I'm not sure if you've used the Japanese skiver before. So the shape of the blade is the same, right? However, the angle of the blade is different. So this is flat, and then this bevels down. Let's do this. Oh, side note, the underside of your stone has a purpose. So if you are setting rivets or caps or anything like that, your best bet is to, if you're going to use a hard surface and you don't want to mess up your work surface, just flip your stone over onto your cutting mat and then use the rough side. Last thing that you want to do is put gouges and chips into your smooth side. It's smooth for a reason. All right, so this is a bit weird. So it's the thing you're gonna have to get used to with the Japanese skiver. Gonna have to skive this side at an angle, obviously to mirror the shape of the bevel of the blade there. And then this is gonna have to be done flat. It's odd to get used to, but after a while you'll be just fine. Now the downside is, because it has to remain flat, you won't get a long draw like this, because this is following the bevel here. So I'm starting here and then bringing the blade up. So it's this motion here. But for this side here, you have to keep this flat. So even though I can get a draw on the whole length of the strop here, you do not have that option for the other side. You're getting half the draw, actually less than half the draw, because if you're pressing down and you come off too far, you could come off, hit the wood, possibly hit this, and then potentially damage, scrape up the edge of your blade. And then you might have to go from just stropping it to actually taking it somewhere to get sharpened. Me personally, I'll strap my own blade all day. If I need to get it sharpened, there's a guy at the Bass Pro Shop out here. He is a wizard with the knife sharpening. He doesn't think so, but I am very sure he could get all of my blades so sharp that they can cut through time and space. What is the strap? Is it leather or stone? So this is leather. This is the rough side of a piece of leather. And then this is the flesh side of a different piece of leather. And then, just a wood handle. But truthfully, a strap could be on anything. On my previous work desk, I had one of these barge glued to the edge, and then another smooth one barge glued right next to it, so I could just strap the other side, then right next to it, then the other side, then get right to it. But because I knew I was going to have stuff on the desk and I was going to have this cutting mat that was going to be, in different positions, I chose not to do the attaching of the strap to the table. If you know anybody that straight razor shaves, this is exactly what they're doing. You're just honing the edge. Honestly, this is probably good. Technically speaking, I don't need to strap on the flesh side, but I'm gonna. All right. Strap away, because that's what you do to reduce clutter. All right, so if you haven't used the Japanese skiver before, what I like to do is I like to score this line first. I will never be so comfortable that I feel like I can just go and skive. So I'll pick a spot, and then once that line is scored in, I'll make sure that the blade, one edge of the blade is always on the surface. And with a side-to-side motion, I'm just strapping down to the table. So there it is. Hopefully you can see skive down to the edge there. You know what? Now that I think about it, it did feel just a little bulky in general, not just on the edge. Let's see. It might be a better option for me, honestly, to just take the bulk of it down. So now, because I didn't think things through the first time, I'm going to have a lesson on the French skiver. So, Palo Santo, I got my French skiver from there. And what they did, which I thought was super awesome, was they sent over this stropping board for the French skivers Now, so this is for the size 8 skiver. Make sure that's there, yep. So what you would do is, because this fits right there in the groove, so you would strop it like you normally would any other, blade that you're trying to get the burrs off of, hone the edge there. All right, should be good to go there, but we're going to keep it just in case. So with the French skiver, instead of just being used to thin things down to the edge, which it can do, you can also take out width from the body. So what I'm going to do is see how wide this is here, and then I'm just going to follow the shape of the pocket and thin that out, thin that out. Now you might notice that I'm not starting all the way from the edge, except for right here where I just did the initial following of the pocket there. That's because I once just messed all the way up and did this from right here and messed up the pocket. So what I tend to do now is I'll just take the bulk down from one side, and then get the rest off to the other side, and then call it good. Okay, there we go. That's much better. That's going to be much easier to mate up on the inside. Nothing too crazy. So that's how you use the French skiver. It's definitely great for going to the edge. Nothing wrong with that. But it's best for removing bulk from the body. As long as you don't press down too hard, especially when you're getting towards once you've taken off enough, you're not going to go through the end there. All right. Next one. Yep, went in too far. That's what happens when you don't mind your pressure. This is a result of complacency. Bam. All right. Sorry about my contractor. He is helping me add a fenced in, a screened in area on my front porch. I guess technically he's making it a porch instead of just the front part of the entrance of my house. I don't know how the previous owners could live here without a screen and a screened in porch area. Nothing to keep the leaves out, nothing to keep the bugs out with the door open. No, thank you. Come on, don't do this to me. There we go. How do you come up with the pricing of the finished work? So what I like to do is I like to ask myself, how much would I like somebody to pay me if I just put together their stuff? So if they cut the pieces and then they just paid me to skype this stuff down and put it all together, what amount would make me not upset at them? So I'm like, okay, so that number is what I refer to as my hourly wage. And everybody's is different, especially based on where you live. But I have an idea of how much that I would be satisfied for if this was my job, if just putting stuff together all day was my job. So that's my hourly wage. And then the cost of the materials. So however much it would cost me if I had to pay somebody, that plus the cost of the materials. And then that's how much it costs to make the product. So that's the MSRP right there. There's no profit. That's just where if I sell it for less than that, then I make nothing. If I sell it for that, then I break even. Then I ask myself, what would be an amount, or rather, you have to do a little bit of research for the area you live to see what the going rate for stuff is. And if I see crappy wallets going for $40, then I'm going to sell my stuff for $45. Because when I explain to people why my stuff is better, or I take that back. If I can work quickly, then I can sell my stuff and beat the market price. If I can't work quickly, then it's not something that I need to be selling. Those are personal projects, and if I sold them, I'd take a loss on it, or I'd have to have a crazy high price on it. So that's my roundabout answer. You have your hourly wage for yourself, plus the cost of the materials. Then that number times 2. And if that number is something close to the market rate for other products in your area, stuff that's not handmade, stuff that's made with shittier prices, then add another premium to it. Because if your stuff is just as much, but it's overall a better product, you should be charging more for that better product. And it's up to you as the producer to be the salesman for your stuff. If you know that it's worth it, then it shouldn't be hard selling it. Now, if people aren't buying your sales pitch, either your sales pitch isn't right, or I take that back. Either your sales pitch isn't very good, or how you're pitching is not explaining the benefit of what it is that you're trying to produce there. I need something heavy. That is, should be heavy enough. Kinda. Do you consider your hours of work? Yes. So, live streaming, no, because live streaming is a lot more stuff. Because I'm not just working, I'm going back and forth. Sometimes I'm taking suggestions. There's also the setup involved with the live stream. That has nothing to do with making a product. That's all me. And that is, we'll get into the whole ethics of business. I think that's not ethical to charge people for something that has nothing to do with their product that they asked you for. So if it takes me longer to do a project on stream, say when I did the tooling for this, because the pieces were already cut. So when I did the tooling for this, both of these to get done took me well over an hour. Now, if somebody asked me for that, it would be unethical of me to charge them for well over an hour's work because I did it on live stream and it took damn near 90 minutes. When in actuality, if I wasn't streaming, it would be done in maybe half that time, if that. So you do have to take into your account your work, but you should be ethical and honest about what it is that you're charging. So if your workshop is disorganized and it's not clean, and you spend a bunch of your production time organizing and cleaning, and not working on something, in my opinion, you should not be charging your client for your lack of cleanliness. You would have been done sooner and your wages would have been lower. Having said that, if you know how quickly you make things, like say I wasn't doing this on the live stream and I could have these pieces cut inside of 20 minutes and then have it stitched inside of 15. And let's just say I didn't do any of the skiving and the beveling. Let's just say I just cut it, put it together, cut it, glued it, put it together. I could do one of these well under an hour. So if you have your prices set, all right, fine. So you know, okay, this thing costs X because this is how long it takes you to do it. So maybe one might take you longer than the other, but in general, you're still cutting profit. That's fine. And then on the one day that somebody asks you to do something and it takes longer, your prices are still set because you already know how long it takes you to make it. That's fine. Then if you end up streamlining your process and getting done faster, your prices are already set, so you just end up with you end up with a higher margin of profit, which is fine. Is it better to make something and sell it outright or make to order stuff, or is that too much to deal with personal wants? It depends on what it is that you intend to sell. So if you want to get into the niche of custom making things like this, I made this. Well, I really just made this for practice last year on Valentine's Day. If your niche is custom stuff, then make a bunch of things, for example, and to post on your social media and all that good stuff, and then post those sorts of things so that people understand that your niche is leather work, but custom stuff or customized or things like that. if you want to make a lot of, if you want to have things just made to order, so you already have you just make a lot of stuff to build up your inventory of different things and sell that, then do that. You should make the choice first and then put your effort into it. Then after a little while, see where that's taken you. So if you are getting good results from the custom work, keep with the custom work. If you're not getting good results from the custom work and you see that what people want the most of are really well made, but just straightforward wallets, belts, that sort of stuff, then just make that pivot. Give people what they want. But you should make your choice first, because if you say, oh, I do both, you run the risk of being inundated with a bunch of stuff and you're going to be either overworked or late on projects. So just pick the one, put forth the effort, then after a few months, see where the results lay. So if you decide to do your run-of-the-mill straightforward wallets, well, this isn't really straightforward technically, but you get what I'm saying. There's no customization on it. And you get asked for a lot of extra stuff. And that extra stuff will give you more for your time than what you've been getting for the general stuff. Then maybe you should pivot towards the customization. But you should make the choice first and then see what the market is, what the market demand is where you live. Here, where I live, people love the basket weaving. I mean, as soon as I post this on Facebook Marketplace, this will not last long. It will be gone inside of 4 days. I could charge $60 for this easily, and minus the time that I spent taking pictures and posting on social media, which had nothing to do with the actual production, $60 will absolutely cut me profit on this, even with the hand stitching. So but I would say just do the thing that you believe is best for you, then see what the market says. If the market supports what it is that you're trying to do, you're in the right place, you're doing the right thing, keep on. The opportunity is already there, the success will follow. If the market just isn't there, then either pivot or you're going to have to really put in a lot more effort and marketing to find that market that you want to get into. I say, especially for people just getting into the business or into the hobby, trying to make it a business, give the market what they want. And then once you have a somewhat of a reputation, or you become whatever you deem to be established in your area, then try that pivot into the thing that is that you want to do. Me personally, I love doing the custom tooling, even though it's time vampire. And the stuff that I like to do isn't so popular out here. I'm not a huge fan of the basket weaving. I like how it looks when it's done, but literally nothing that I have for myself has basket weaving on it. I can't think of anything that does. Yeah, I can't think of anything that I have that has basket weaving on it. Good example, just want to say thank you for answering my question. Appreciate it. Yeah, these are all things that I learned the hard way. And not too long after I learned the hard way, I was talking to some other people, and they were like, oh yeah, that's the situation I ended up in. It turns out that, let me not do that yet, I'll do this one. We all learned a lesson, but nobody was in a position to provide any guidance, so to speak, because we were all pretty much amateurs. Nobody felt comfortable saying, oh, hey, here's this. Don't get me wrong. As much as I know that I'm good at what I'm doing, I also know that I'm still an amateur by all aspects, but I love business and economics. Once I'm enrolled in school, I will be shooting for that economics, possibly accounting degree. So that question rolls into business and economics, and I can give that answer. How long have you been doing this? Well, as work, as in a thing that I chose to do because I believe I can make money at it, I started doing this in 2016. But I started in 2014 just as a thing to do while I was on deployment to pass the time. I knew I needed something to do because the chain of command said that we were going to be going places and doing really fun, cool stuff. And I immediately saw that as bullshit. Like, there's no way. So I went and got a hobby. And sure enough, I was correct. Everything that they said that we were going to do, we did not do. We left San Diego and did not touch dry land until Oman, over in the Persian, or I'm sorry, the Arabian Peninsula. So damn near 100 days. No, thank you. And I saw that coming a mile away. So, but it wasn't a thing that I thought would last longer than deployment. It was just something to do. Yep. So yeah, 8 or 9 years when I thought this is something that I want to do for money. But from the time that I first started, the better part of 10 years. Almost, actually, wait. Um, June this year will be 10 years. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. You can take your tools on deployment. Oh yeah, because the at the time all I needed was some blades, and I had the spaces on the ship that my division owned were big enough to keep my stuff. So I just slow rolled it. I brought a chest on board and or a big container, and I just put my stuff in. And over the course of a couple of weeks before deployment, I just slowly brought more stuff in, more stuff, more stuff. But I kept it inside that chest, so it didn't take up any space really. And it was interesting. It was fun and interesting. So, chain of command, let it ride. Navy, yeah, I was in the Navy, 22 years. All right. Your dad was too. Super dope. Dope. You know what? That's just. Yep, that'll work. Uh, but I'm going to do the smart thing with this one and do this top one first. Where's your dad stationed? I guess technically you would have been with him for most of it, whatever the case. I spent almost half my career in Japan. What was it? 8 of my 22 years was spent in Japan. Loved it. I'd go back in a heartbeat, honestly. I wanted to stay out there, but I didn't want to be a contractor. I wanted to see if I could make this entrepreneurial thing work. I mean, obviously, I'm going to accept my retirement, but still, I want to see if I could be a proper businessman. Yep. My nephew is currently in the Navy. He's loving it right now. He took my advice. I told him, I was like, hey man, get the hell out of the US. Don't try to get stationed close to home. Go and see and experience these other cultures out there in the world. Stop I mean it's the only time in your life where you can go somewhere else in the world and someone else is going to pay for it. So go and experience some of the world. And nope, Korean War. Okay. Well, rest in peace to your dad. That all of those wars where people got drafted, those were all nasty business. You just, I understand the reason for it. I'm not against it, so to speak. But they, just, it steals young people's future from them. And then it was all young men. You take some people who weren't combat minded, told them that because their birthday got pulled, they got to report to the post office and then go to the military. And hopefully you come out none the worse for it, but a lot of people came out worse for wear. But they did it. They did what their country asked of them and carried on. So, much respect to those men. It's not easy. I mean, I purposely joined. I saw it as an escape to get out of where I was at. There's a whole lot of, well, not a lot of, there was a lack of prosperity where I was at. No real future staying there. So I chose to go. With the guys who didn't, much respect. And for the guys who chose to go when they were pulling people regardless, even more. Because, again, all that stuff was nasty business. All right. These are good to go. I just have to stitch them. Gonna use the machine for that though. So these are as ready to go as they can be. You know what? Might as well get this ready too. So what about you, Savage Wolf? What do you do? Please note, if you don't want to say what you do, because this is the public internet, by all means, keep that to yourself. I understand the whole concept of it. in the military back then. Well, I will say this, right? As somebody who is career military, and I am third generation military myself, if you had any reason at all to not join, that is the best reason to not go. Even if your reason is I'm just kind of not into it. The military is one of those jobs where when if you find out it sucks, you've already signed the contract. And Uncle Sam is going to get every piece of time out of you that he can get out of you. And I do not ever recommend people go into that sort of job lightly. So you might still think of it as one of those should haves. And it's understandable, I guess. However, I will say don't beat yourself up too bad about it. If you had any good reason to not go, that's the best reason to have never been in the military. I promise you. Like my dad, he wasn't in the military. Both of my parents were, and my dad told me that he always thought that he should have stayed in, but he also had good reason to get out. He had job prospects. He was fresh off a divorce, and he wanted to be where we were. So he wanted to be close by, and that also happened to be where a lot of his family was. So he got out, which is a good reason. So it's fine. Don't feel bad about it. I got a lot of younger nieces and nephews and younger cousins and whatnot, and they tell me they're on the fence about joining, and I'm like, hey, look, never mind my fun stories. Like, if you have anything else that you could do that. And all of them except for one have something else that they could be doing, so they're thinking about the military. All right, I don't want to do anything with that piece. I do want to make something else out of this. I've been dying to. I just love how it feels. What do I got in here? Something that's straightforward. Oh, this is the opposite of straightforward, so I'm going to do it. Worked in sweatshops mostly. I don't think I've ever had to work in it. No, not really. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, strictly speaking, I have terrible work history. I was a cashier at 16 at a supermarket. Then 17 to 18, I did data entrance for a parking service at the airport in Atlanta. Then I joined the military, and then I got out, and I've had one job since then that I put in my 2 weeks in for a little while ago. So I've had 4 jobs my whole life. Yeah, the retirement is, well, I have to be honest. So I'm single with no kids. So for me, the retirement is pretty good. Especially where I live. The cost of living is pretty low. So my retirement plus the disability from injuries sustained. I've already made a video about it, but the retirement and the disability from that honestly covers everything. So I have the ability to branch out into this and see what all works. But if I were married and or had some kids, had a kid or some kids, oh yeah, I'd be working full time somewhere. Doing anything and everything to make sure that the kids I had or the family that I have or had would be very well taken care of. But because it's just me, the Retirement. The retirement is very, very sufficient. I got a modest life. I got a modest house. I got a modest vehicle. I've got no real debt. Got a little bit of credit card debt. Truthfully, I'm kind of keeping it that way just so I can show a history of payment and all that other stuff. You know, you got to play the credit game. So there's something there, but it's well below the max for all my stuff. So that in the instance that I do need to utilize credit for something, I can get it easily. You know, it's the credit game. You can either save up for a long time to make a big purchase, or ensure that you are managing your debt properly. What am I doing? This doesn't need to be here at all. Ridiculous. I was wondering what was taking up so much damn space. Did I not take out the third piece? I did not. There we go. So some of this action, some of that. Yeah. Hustle, this and that. Yep, okay. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna maximize my square footage here. Every time that I do this, I just think, oh, this is just like Tetris. And then when I'm doing that and I think this is just like Tetris, I remember my mom always telling me, those video games aren't going to get you anywhere. And here it is, my Tetris skill saving me money by not ruining my hides. Take that, Mom. Which is funny because my mom loves my stuff. Boom. Yeah, that'll still work. Just barely. Yeah, let's maximize what's going on here. Come on. That's why we can't have nice things. Didn't press down hard enough. But thankfully, I have a very long straight edge with the Japanese skiver. Trash. I'm trying to keep my huge head out of the shot, but it's just not an option right now. There we go. So this one has some blemishes in it. So I might have to hand-eye 2 coordination. Good to have. Yep. Da-da-da. Put that away. Huh. I wonder if I should use a different piece for this. Something nice and decorative. Let me see. Oh, that's too thick. This might work. I think I have a piece already cut out here too. Yeah. So, because I don't want to cut twice, I'm going to cut a piece that is big enough to fit under the die cut. I'm going to cut 2 of them, and then just cut 2 pieces at the same time. Call it good. It's just going to be extra. Do you hand dye leather? Do you work with already tanned? Both. I don't think I have anything here that's hand dyed right now, but I have a bunch of it already packed up because there are pieces that I made. Just depends on what I'm shooting for. All right. When it's pre-dyed, the biggest benefit to it being pre-dyed is that it is it's dyed properly throughout. You are not really going to have to worry too much about you're not going to have to worry too much about the consistency of the dye, if it's too thin or too heavy in certain places. Most places, when they sell something that's pre-dyed, it's already fitting a particular standard, so you should be fine. It's the biggest upside. Come on, there we go. And it also saves you time by buying stuff that's pre-dyed. However, if you are, say you just want to get something that's a shade of brown that you want, either darker, lighter, what have you, then dyeing by hand is the way to go. Or if it's a shade that somebody else wants, then the by hand route is what you should do. Pro tip, if you are using the daubers for your dyeing, and brings a little closer. What was that? All right, so you should see these little hairs that are basically they're attached to the dauber but not very securely. These little flyaways around here, those things will come off when you're applying dye or Resolene or something like that, and they'll stick in your finish. So if you're going to use these, just get a lighter and singe off the extras, and the extra ones like this that are there but won't stand securely, they'll burn off and come off. You'll have a little bit of soot that's left around it. Just go like that, clear the soot off, easy day, and then you can use this thing with a higher degree of security that nothing will be left behind either in the dye or in your finish, be it Resolene or Pro Resist or anything like that. Okay, so this is better, I think. Yeah, I'm liking this a whole lot more as compared to so we can see what I was looking at. Even if this were oil tanned a little darker, like how this might turn out, I think this on that is a better contrast. What glue do I use? The glue that's in here is Aqualem 300? Aqualem 315. Aqualem 315, I got it from District Leather Supply based out of Atlanta. I got the bigger container, and as long as you keep the lid on it, it'll last for a long, long time. It's water-based, and it's really, really good. And it sticks very well too. It's not nearly as strong as Barge, but it does stick really, really well. And there's no scent to it at all. Not really. So it's money, in my opinion. I've had zero issues with it whatsoever. I will say it use this and consider the application though, because if you want to apply a liner to something, depending on what you're using it for, this might be a bad idea. So if it's a liner for something like a bag that will be used outside, like most bags are, this is a water-based adhesive. So if the bag gets really wet on the outside, the glue will become, it will lose its solvency, it'll come apart. And if it doesn't dry back the proper way, and it never does, that now your liner looks terrible. But a liner for, say, a wallet, perfectly fine. Most people's wallets are not gonna get soaked with things, soaked all the way through. Yeah, the outside might get wet every now and then, but the likelihood of somebody being outside in torrential rain with no coat, that's way out there. Nobody can blame the manufacturer for that. Or in case of somebody make an accident and accidentally washing their wallet, again, that's not a manufacturer defect. Sweat on a wallet. I have lived in some very hot, humid places with wallets that I've had, and I've had no issues with the adhesive. Certainly not Barge, not Aqualem. For a while, I was using another water-based adhesive that was pretty good, but it was a lot thicker than Aqualem. Aqualem is way easier to apply. Although with So sweat, not really an issue either way. High heat on with barge. High heat will cause for the adhesive to liquefy and then melt. Now, this isn't, say, a 90-degree summer someplace. If somebody's working in environments that are crazy hot, like industrial environments, barge might come undone, or at the very least, it might get a little bit more liquid. Barge is a solvent-based glue, and as soon as you open it, you will smell it. It smells just like a solvent, like turpentine or something. That smell is very, very strong. Even so, like the blue and the red barge are industrial strength. I'm sorry, the red and the yellow are industrial strength. The blue isn't, but it's still crazy strong. Give me another 20 seconds. All right, so barge. What's the proper term? It's a contact adhesive is the proper term for it. So how barge works is you apply it to both sides of the thing you're trying to stick together. You let it get tacky. So you wait for anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, depending on your environment. If it's high heat and or high humidity, it'll take a lot longer to get tacky. If it's really cold, it'll get tacky quicker than you would like. And then once it's tacky, you stick it together, and barge sticks to itself. And as long as the sides of the thing that it's stuck to are porous, like the flesh side of leather, it works its way into those pores. So when you take two things, like say this was, both these things were barge, you stuck them together, and you don't need to apply any pressure, like say with hammer strikes or anything like that. Where's my hammer? Damn it, I put it away so good I lost it. Anyway, after barge cures, oh no, here we go. Bam. So it is a good idea once you have your glue set, especially if it's barge, to just hammer around. Not a requirement. But it is better to ensure the adhesion. Once it cures, it takes a lot of force to tear them apart. So barge is great for that. This is not. Aqualim is not great for that. Once it cures, it's pretty solid, but it doesn't compare to barge. I use the blue. I used to use the blue when I was in Japan, but I had to order it, and I couldn't order a quart or more of the barge glue, of the blue barge. Truthfully, I couldn't even order this stuff. I bought this when I was on leave in the US. Well, not this can, but this type. Then I just brought it back with me. You can't, because of the size and the type of chemical it was, you couldn't ship it via regular mail to something that wasn't an industrial concern. But I could bring it back with me. Like, it didn't violate customs. It just wasn't something that Japan let you ship to non-businesses. But yeah, the blue barge is pretty solid. You can get those in Tandy. Red barge, in my opinion, is better. The smell is very strong. Do not use barge unless you are in an open area or a place with great ventilation, or you're outdoors. The smell is strong. Now, I've never been overwhelmed by the fumes, but the fumes it's crazy strong. This works, let me tell you. All right, let's get these ready to get those edges polished up. What they sell at Tandy is Tanner's Bond. Um, Not bad. Not bad. As near as makes no difference to, I guess, a casual or a beginning leather crafter. Tanner's Bond is interchangeable with barge. But once you get to the point where you're adhering stuff to the inside of things that need to stay still, like a couple years ago, I made a guy a pair of shoes, and he wanted beaver fur on the inside, so I used barge to adhere the beaver fur to the inside. So I would never have used Aqualim or something else because I know barge is just so on point with it. Da-da-da. Yeah, big fan of barge. Works crazy well. Not honestly, it's not very expensive either. If you're only making small projects, I wouldn't bother with the quart. Just get the smaller one or the tube. That's fine. But if you know if you're gonna make bigger projects, if you have a lot going on where you would need an adhesive this strong, well then yeah, go ahead and get the quart size. Yeah. Who's the other one? Oh, okay, right there. Keep those together. What do you use for the conditioning, sealing? So that is a multi-part answer, just like everything I'd say because I talk too much. For conditioning, hashtag not sponsored. I love me some Chamberlains. Technically speaking, neat's foot oil or neat's foot compound is also conditioning. And you do get a really, really good brown color from your hide after it goes from after so when it'll go from pale and untreated to a slight shade darker with the oil. Then you let it sit in the sun for a couple of hours or for a couple of days if you have the cloud cover, and it'll darken up right to this. This has not been dyed at all. This is just neat's foot oil, a couple of coats, then I let it sit in the sun for about a day and a half, and it got to that brown color right there. Same thing with this one here. Just the oil, let it sit in the sun. Those two pieces must have been tanned at different times or from a different hide. Didn't feel like it when I was working with it, but this one darkened to a good tan. This one darkened to a dark tan slash crazy light brown, which is still fine. This is going to be part of a giveaway because one of my followers said I should. For the finish, I've been using as much as I don't like how it feels Resolene is a good finish for a lot of stuff that I've been making recently, because I've been making a lot of things like holsters, and those are exposed, not holsters, holsters and sheaths and whatnot. Those are exposed out to the weather a bunch, so it needs a little bit more coating. And Resolene is an acrylic finish. Yeah. And if you get some that's not from Tandy's, most of the time it'll say acrylic Resolene. That's a good finish. Pro Resist, Sadillac. Those are all good things to apply. Sadillac you spray on, that's pretty dope. So far as treating and finishing, I've had great results with that. Tannery Row sends this leather conditioner when you buy stuff from them. Hold on one second. So Tannery Row's leather conditioner, this stuff is money. Man, it's so good. The only downside is you have to put it away. If you leave it out in the sun or leave it out where it could get hot, it'll melt. So you can see how it's all chunky right there because I left it on the windowsill instead of leaving it, putting it away with the rest of my stuff. So the one that I had that was put away still looks like waxy or like a lotion or something like that. However, with that one right there, because it was just kind of broken down by the sun and everything, all I got to do is just like shake it up really, really good or give it like a really, really good mix and a stir. It'll be back to its normal state. But yeah, Chamberlain's number 3 is really solid. Number 1 is really good too, but number 3, at least it claims it's a water protectant. Don't go out and stress test it, but I have tried it a little bit and I've had good results from this. So between those ones, that's what I use for the conditioning and the finishing. Again, the downside to things like Resolene and Sadillac, those acrylic finishes, it's a coating on the leather. And I like the leather feeling. And it feels, again, I'm being nitpicky, but it feels plasticky. And I don't like that feeling on my stuff. So on the things that I make for myself, I don't finish it with Resolene. I just use the Chamberlains. So I'll use the Neat's Foot oil and then the Chamberlains. And then I'll call it good. Then maybe once, twice a year, I'll hit it with some neutral shoe polish just to ensure that it maintains a little bit of water resistance because shoe polish is mostly wax, so water won't stick to it. Get this stuff off of here. For the folks who are watching, if you have any questions, by all means, please hit me up. If you haven't already, please throw me a couple of likes. That's a lie. Please throw me a like. You can only add one. That is if you actually do like what you're seeing. All right, so I think I'm at where I'm at so far as things I need to make. I really don't want to break this out to do the liners because that's going to require windows being opened and fans on and all kinds of stuff. And also changing locations because I don't use this in here anymore. I have a specific room and a table for that. So if anybody wants to see me make anything, let me know. Here's a good one. That, obviously it's in the shape of a cat, but this is for a keychain. What's Chamberlain's for shoes? What one first? Oh yeah, so neat's foot oil first. Definitely neat's foot oil first. And after neat's foot oil, you can go right to Resolene if you want, or Sadilac or anything like, or Pro Resist. Any one of those is just fine. I personally just like the slight tanning slash browning tone that you get from neat's foot oil that you don't really get with the Chamberlains. Having said that, you don't technically need the neat's foot oil prior to the Chamberlains. That's just the process that I've been in for so long that I can't really break that habit. I'm institutionalized. Oh, yeah, like this piece here. This is just neat's foot oil. And then no. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh, pro tip: if you want to apply things and lessen the likelihood that what you're applying will be streaky, makeup sponges. They're designed to not leave streaks. Yep. Yeah, they're designed to not leave streaks. So now Chamberlain's isn't a dye or anything, so it's not really going to be streaky regardless. But it applies better and more evenly than the daubers. So if you ever seen anybody applying makeup or applying anything with the makeup sponges, or if you want to, just go ahead and test it out. Apply something, say some dye with a sponge, and then apply it with a dauber, and then see the difference in how it applies and then how it looks once it settles in and dries. Somewhere I had a piece where I applied stuff with a bunch of different applicators. Well, it is not in the scrap box, which means I probably threw it away. Yep, not in the scrap box, got thrown away. But you would have seen, if I had it, how stuff looks when it's applied with a dauber, and then how it looked when I applied it with one of these, which is a graffiti marker. I need to fill it up actually. This one's empty. But I applied it with the felt tip of this graffiti marker. And the coverage and the application was very different because this is uniform. The ink or the paint for what it's normally made for would come in through the bottom and then fill out, and the application is uniform. It just soaks in and then spreads out. With the dauber, from where you apply it the first is where it's going to be the heaviest. Even if you're applying it lightly, this part here is going to be where it's strongest, and then it will just peter out and you have to reapply. But with this one, it's just there, and you can go in circles or stripe however you want to, but the application was more consistent. And you have more control or more like, easier application because this is just in a big circle or in stripes, however you want to. This, you can't really go circles with this, but the uniformity is a little better, my opinion. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Needs with 100% or a contrast. So you can see this didn't get any darker from the Chamberlains. Da-da. Yeah, this is still Chamberlain, yeah. So this is going to get, there's going to be a slight change in this. I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna. It'll get darker because it's wet. And then once it settles out, for lack of a better term, it'll go more or less to the same color. It's just not the same as Neat's Foot or even a synthetic Neat's Foot. Again, it has its purposes, but you're not going to get the same effects. Like, for instance, when I apply this, and, well, it's not sunny, so you won't be able to see it. When I set this in the sun, it won't get to this color. It'll just darken up a little bit as if it were regular hide that was just left out in the sun a bit. Get this here, though. Bam. Where did you get the paint pen from? I got it from a shop on Etsy. I got the idea from Ryan Savin, who runs Little King Goods, and this was years ago. He was talking about the marker because that's what he uses to apply when he does apply dye to his edges. What is that? The heck? I don't know what this is. Well, whatever. Anyway, because sometimes he'll dye his edges and then he'll apply Tokenol to them, so they're slick and shiny, but it's not edge paint. And he was applying it with a dye marker like that. And I guess a lot of folks in the comments were like, "Hey man, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? What is that? What is that?" And so he put a link to where he got it from. It's this Etsy shop at the time called Calligraffiti. Or is that the brand name? Let me check. It is the brand name. So yeah, Calligraffiti, hashtag not sponsored. Not an ad. YouTube don't come at me. So Calligraffiti, I guess that's the size, OTR 84. And you can get these in different sizes. So you can see this one is very, very wide. This one wide, but a different shape. And so I've got a bunch of these. But then I also have brushes with dye in the reservoirs. Obviously this is purple. And so you just use it as you see fit. Then when it runs out, you just squeeze it a bit, and the dye will go down into the brush again. And then you have dye pens. This is yellow, I believe. Yeah, yellow. And these are great too, especially if you're doing some really intricate dye work and you just need something that is bigger than smaller than a dauber. You can just get the edges of something that you've done or finer points of the inside, whatever the case might be. And Tandy sells these, but the concept of leather dye pens has kind of been out there for a while, so you probably are able to get these for a lot less than what Tandy's charging. Uh, do I buff it? I sometimes do. Um, with the oil-based dyes, no, they soak in pretty well. So I've never had the need to buff the oil-based dyes. The water-based dyes, absolutely. I don't know why. They just look a lot better after they've been buffed. So you just apply it, let it dry, buff it a bit. You're solid. Then add in your finish to it, say Resolene or Pro Resist, Sadlac, whatever the case. Then it's set. You're good there. Mm. I gotta fill that up actually. Uh, what do I really want to make? I'm gonna do that later. I wish I could see who was in the chat. I just see that there's 3 people. Can I see on the live stream device? Nope. Which is fine. So, actually, now that I'm here, I do want to cut these pieces out. Since I'm not... I must have soaked that one in. I had a thin one. There we go. Try to make it nice and sleek. All right, folks in the chat. Do I cut the pieces that I'm going to use for this here blue ostrich? Do I cut it from the kangaroo, which is this medium brown or somewhat dark tan? Or do I cut it from this orange gold horsehide? What do y'all think? Because this seems appropriate, right? The blue with this medium brown sort right here, but you know, blue and gold pops. So let me know what y'all think. Man, these are not the greatest pieces. Yeah, these will be for like inlay practice or something. Yeah, not the best. Oh, that's right. Yeah, this was a Horween horsehide, wasn't it? Super dope. The yellow. Okay, bet. All right, well then let me roll this up. Get some semblance of order over here on this desk. Hopefully I can get enough pieces out of it. Maybe there. just fell down. Okay. Easy fix. I feel like I may have fucked myself on that one. I've just barely not fucked myself on that one. Sorry for the language there in the chat. Or, okay, yeah, there we go. Solid. So that piece works. Gonna get another usable piece out of this. Maybe across the top. That's kind of thin. No. Nope. So what do you burnish with? Heard. You know what? I have heard that, but I've never seen anyone do it. I've just been using Tokonol for the longest. You know what's funny? I have actually been using Tokonol longer than folks in the US have been using it as the norm, because Tokonol is made by the Seiwa Corporation. If you couldn't tell from that name, it is absolutely Japanese. And Tokonol was the only burnishing gum that was available at the craft store that I would shop at. So when it got super famous, I was like, oh yeah, that stuff. And because I was getting it from Japan, I didn't need to pay any extra money for it to be imported. So I was getting Tokonol for crazy cheap. And I didn't know it. I didn't realize it at the time. And I was thinking, oh man, I could have been the plug. I could have been hitting people up like, oh man, if you hit me up, I'll shoot it out to you. But, you know, it is what it is. Missed opportunity to engage in graft. All right. All right, now, normally I would say provide the best piece. However, only this much of this piece is ever going to get seen. So I'm going to use this piece here, like this. So that's what's going to get cut, and it's going to be the inside piece. I already have the blue ostrich piece cut for the back side of there. That is going to be pretty. And hopefully I can finagle this so I only have to make the one cut. And finagle it I shall. Well, yeah, Tokonol's the bomb. Tokonol's the bomb burnishing agent. And because it's more and more common, it's basically evenly priced now, so nobody's paying a premium to get a hold of Tokonol. It's been in the U.S. for long enough. Speaking of burnishing, the inside, the interior of ostrich is like the inside of a damn ratty sweater. It's almost always like this, and I hate it. So, if slash when you ever work with ostrich, best bet, pull this extra crap off, or pay someone that you know to, if you don't want to do it yourself. You are going to have a slightly thinner piece, that's fine. And then after you pull all this extra crap off, guess what you're going to do? You're going to line it. You are going to add a liner. Or you can burnish it. That's right. Burnishing isn't something that you just do to the edge. You can absolutely burnish the inside or outside of a piece. I have burnished the outside of a piece of cowhide once. Let me tell you, that result is surprising. BRB. There, I told you. All right, so Tokonole. This is actually some of what I have left from when I was in Japan. You can see everything's still in Japanese. Had to go and get the glass burnisher here. Because it's so porous, you're actually going to use a good amount. Usually with any burnishing compound, a little goes a long way. But this is going into a lot. So a little isn't going to go as far as you would think. Nope, not going to do that. Yep. Burnishing the inside. This is some weird stuff that you don't really hear too much about with the leather craft. I've also seen a guy give his both his actual and his synthetic wool a fade. He was using it to line, God, I can't remember what it was, but he needed the edges to be thinner because that's where the stitching was going to happen. So he broke out some clippers and gave the lining of his material a fade so that it would aid in the stitching. So yeah, cosmetology on wool is a thing that you will be doing in leathercraft. That, or you could just try to stitch through all the stuff there. Good luck with that. That's a time vampire. I wouldn't do it. And if you're not good at cutting hair, imagine having to hit up one of your friends who's a barber just so that they can, taper up the inside of your piece. That's going to be a hilarious story to tell. All right, so that is far smoother than it was. Doesn't look like the inside of a ratty sweater anymore. So that will dry, then it will be nice and slick, and will be the proper piece for the inside of this right there. For this piece, I'm gonna cheat. Let me find that damn piece because I had it earlier. I really hope it didn't fall. I'll be upset. All right, let's declutter. Scrap bin. A little small, so scrap bin. There it is. So for this piece here, I'm going to attach this as a liner. Little gold paisley. I don't wanna, but I'm gonna use the barge. I can smell it already. This is actually running low. All right. Soon I'm about to drop a pro tip for anybody who's going to use fabrics to line their stuff with that you've applied with any sort of glue, but especially with barge. Nice material, gold thread too. I know the color's gold. I got this from a fabric shop in. Was this Shibuya? No, I got this from Tokyo Hands in. You know what? No, it was. It was the Tokyo Hands in Shibuya, not the fabric shop in Shibuya. Back when I was still stationed in Japan. Come on, fill that spot in. There we go. Set that there. All right, so this isn't a very thick piece of fabric, and obviously that's the case because I'm not trying to make the wallet crazy thick. But what's going to happen is this glue is going to bleed through. It's going to go through. It's still going to work just fine. But what you need to do, absolutely need to do, when you are working with this sort of stuff and you're working with a fabric that the adhesive just goes through is you need to have a crepe rubber piece, a hard rubber piece. And it's the same stuff that is used for soles on shoes. So you can get that as, you might see it listed as shoe sole material or crepe sole material, or I think it's French, so maybe it's pronounced clepe. I don't know. I don't speak any language other than the good old American. But what about the adhesive spray? So every adhesive spray that I've seen, let me not put that back there, it doesn't belong there. Every adhesive spray that I've seen is a fabric adhesive, which works well, but it's not very strong. It's meant to just keep things together. And then they'll be stitched around. And then if the adhesive comes apart, it's not a big deal because the part's already stitched together. So, but I've only ever seen that in fabric that in clothing that's worn. I haven't seen fabric spray, or I haven't seen the glue spray used for leathercraft that wasn't already a specific bonding cement for leather. So anything that you might see from a fabric store like, or fabric and craft store like Joann's, or that you might also see if you do car audio, and for if you get a box made or a custom box done, the carpet that's attached to the wooden box, it's sprayed with that spray adhesive and then nailed down. That's what they use. That's not a crazy strong adhesive. And I think, oh, I'll be right back. The mail person's knocking at my door. No, that one's still gonna come to y'all's place. Oh, thank goodness. That was just what I was waiting for. I didn't think it was gonna come for a few more days, but it came today. All right, so can't really see it here, and it's a little tacky, but you still see the streaks of it are still wet. And same thing here, although this is a little bit more tacky. But yeah, some of it is still wet, so it's not quite dry tacky yet. Oh, side note, when you get glue on your mat, don't let it sit there and let dirt cake up into it and everything. It'll be harder to clean up when you do. Just either with your finger or piece of rubber, something like that. Just rub it and it'll come out. Don't rub towards sharp things like I just did. That's stupid. Yeah. There. That there. Matter of fact, yeah. So this is what I was talking about. This is that crepe rubber. This is money when it comes to getting glue off of projects or off of your table for that matter. Just right there, hard rubber. Any of the adhesive that it hits, it'll just roll up, and then it'll either leave it on the surface or it'll stick to this and you just pull it off, throw it away. Easy day. All right, that is looking, yep, nice and tacky. So this is accomplishing the same job as what I said earlier. When I said when you're applying the glue and you want to make everything stick, for a project like this, and you put it together, just tap, 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 tap along the edge. For something like this, obviously you don't want to smack the quills, because what you'll do is you'll flatten them down. Some people like that look. I don't. Folks out here prefer the actual proper texture of, let me pull that up and it got too high though. They prefer the actual feel and the texture of the ostrich. Understandable. I do as well. So this is what you would do. All right, now a little bit of that glue has seeped through there. So what you want to do is you want to look at the direction of the weave. Most of it is up and down for my orientation. Some of it is sideways. So you want to ensure that no glue seeps through and sticks onto cards or cash or whatever the case. Just with the eraser, go over this, and it takes any glue that seeped through, even if it's dried up a bit. It will roll it up onto a ball. It'll stick to itself. Then it's easy to just get rid of it. All right. That one, thankfully, didn't need too much. Thankfully, not much soaked through. Lord knows I've done it poorly before, and it was just caked on and went through. Got lucky, honestly. I'm going to tell you that right now. Trim this excess. Please remember to trim this as close as possible. It's only going to help when you align the pockets before you glue the rest to itself, so you can get everything rolling before you put it together. I actually have a piece that was poorly aligned that I stitched together, and I didn't realize it until afterwards. Wasted money. There we go. So this is what we will have. We'll have some of this action right here. Please tell me I did not just fuck myself like that. I fucked myself. This is not the proper piece for that. Son of a bitch. Did I put this away wrong? It fucking fell over. This is why we can't have nice things. Should have been that piece. This piece was over there where it should not have been. But it's all good because I believe we have enough of that. Yep. Just barely, I think. I'm hoping. Please, please, please. Yes. Yes, I believe we do. Thank you, Jesus. And that's called getting lucky. after you did something stupid. Let's make sure this is properly lined up. I have maybe a millimeter worth of play on either side of good material. Okay, that's a lie. I've got a little more than an eighth of an inch, which is a preferred metric. I'm sorry, a preferred method of measuring over metric because we use freedom units over here. Ooh, thank goodness. Back to the scrap bin for y'all. You will get used later. What do you use for clearing off white mold on your stored leather? Hold on, let me close this door. I have actually never had mold on my leather. I've been very lucky. And also, I've also been a little borderline unnecessarily paranoid. Just going to be completely honest there. Ugh. And I stupidly threw away the thing there. All right. Yeah, freedom units. That's what we call them, baby. Inches, feet, miles, cups, gallons, pounds, ounces. Freedom units, baby. Freedom units. Really, I just say that just to mess with all my friends from other countries. I'm just stubborn. I'm a very stubborn American. It is what it is. And also, I understand the conversion method. The conversion rates are pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Without going into too many decimals, 2.2 centimeters is 1 inch, which is fine. What is it? 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. And as long as I am aware of the conversion and everybody else is aware of the conversion, truthfully, what unit we use doesn't matter. And I understand that. And since I understand that it doesn't matter, I just jokingly say stuff like freedom units or stuff like that. One, it's silly and it's funny. And two, it makes people who don't want to do the conversion learn the conversion. Because if I, an American, will learn the conversion, there's no reason why anybody else can't just remember a few simple mathematic equations. I mean, 1.6, 2.2, 2.2 for pounds to kilograms, and then centimeters to inches. That's easy. So if I get it and I don't use metric almost ever, other people can get it too. No big deal. And then for the people who are really adamant that Americans are just, stubborn and backward, then I just turn it up to 11 just to mess with them. But in all actuality, I know it's not that big a deal. All right, so now we will have a decent idea of how this will look. Let me get this bend out of here. This is, yeah, it's dry. Yep, so this is a burnished underside of ostrich, and it's dry. It doesn't really look it, but it is dry. It's dry to the touch. So inside like that, outside done and done. So got some work to do, some stuff to stitch up, which is good. Put that there. Then this piece here has to be glued together, but it has to be stitched up first along this edge, because if I stitched it together, then I wouldn't have a pocket here. Do you age finish your product? So I haven't, but I know that it's possible to give your work an age look. If you go to the YouTube channel Diesel Punk, which is run by a guy named Tony, Tony SEE. He's from Romania, Bucharest, I think, or Budapest. I think Budapest is in Romania. Yeah, I think it's Budapest. But he's from there, and he, a couple of years ago, he actually posted how he makes his stuff and how he uses wax, this candle wax, paraffin wax, if I'm not mistaken, to give his stuff an aged look, even though it's brand new. And I haven't tried it, mostly because, and I very much understand this is a me problem here, I think that things should look aged when they're aged. I don't think that things should artificially look aged. And I hate seeing that in general. I can't stand it. Heard of mud too. I haven't tried that. Probably works. And yeah, I hate the, oh yeah, oh, so you know him. Yeah, Tony's awesome. What's going on, Miss King? How's life treating you? Yeah, and so yeah, I like the technique that Tony uses to give his stuff that age look, but I can't bring myself to do it because I hate things that look aged when they're not. I hate buying pre-faded jeans or anything like that that has holes in it. I don't like buying new stuff that looks vintage. I 100% understand that this is a me problem. I just can't do it. So if somebody asked me to do it in a project, I would definitely do it for them. I would never of my own free will, with any other choice, make something to look aged. That's just me. I can't stand it. Oh, at work. Nice, nice. I am technically also at work because I am retired. So anything that I do, I am at work. Oh, this here, this was something that I used, and 6 inches of snow, ridiculous. I live in South Texas, and today it's 66 degrees, and it's overcast at 66 degrees. So there's that. Okay, so back to this. So what I started to do with a lot of my scrap that was, an inch or so, a little bit more wide, is I'm turning them into bracelets. So, and you can buy these from, I think I got them from Hobby Lobby, although it might be Joann's, so I might be wrong, or hell, both places might have them. Here we go. All right, so, well, actually, that's a rivet. We don't need that. So these are bracelets. These are 4 bracelets. They're aluminum bracelets. Show off, don't rub. Oh, well, I mean, at least like as you're toiling away, you are not like physically handicapped from Uncle Sam. So like it's cool. No, I'm just playing. Uh, Hell, for all I know, you probably are because Uncle Sam's got everybody messed up these days. So these were intended to be bracelets, and you could either stamp or acid etch things into them. And these were honestly the perfect size for what I was looking for because I just used one of these. I think it was this one, a fire by the coffee. And so I just got a piece of veg tan because Lord knows we all have veg tan all over the place. Then a piece of the scrap that I had that I didn't want to get rid of, and then I used barge, and I put barge on both sides, the strap down there or the bracelet down there, and then the hide over it, and then while leaving it flat, you want to leave the bottom piece flat. You don't want to form it around on both sides, so that you have this large raised appearance right there. And then, I'm sorry for it is what it is. It you find your workarounds for all the mobility or the dexterity stuff. All right, so I thought I had this piece in here with me, but I don't. It's in the other room. Let me bring it back real quick. All right, I am back. I need a mandrel to fix the shape. Maybe, maybe not. So what I did was I laid it in like this. Later, I applied some Pro Resist to give it the gloss, but before that, I think I just used neutral shoe polish for a little bit of gloss like this here. Stitched it up, and then you use this device, which comes with this kit, and you'll just you wedge it in, and then you bend from one side, and then you bend from the other side so that you end up with a nice smooth curve around. Then you get left with one of these. And then, in general, this will fit most people. Because it doesn't need to go all the way around the wrist. It just needs to fit well. And I have a 7.5-ish inch wrist right here. And this doesn't need to go all the way around. So, and this is, I think it's only 6. It doesn't give the total length. I'll measure it out in a bit, but it fits just fine. And then for people with narrower wrists, they can just, as they're holding it, they can just bend it in closer together. Somebody with a larger wrist, not too many folks are going to have a wrist bigger than say 7.5 inches. That's noticeably large. Truthfully, most watches don't fit folks with wrists that big. Maybe at the very end. So you just bam. And that way you get to utilize more of your scrap, because if you throw it away, then it's wasted money. I don't think I'm strong enough to... you should be, because it's just leverage. It's all leverage. So it's wedged there, and then just leave this on the ground, and then just push over. Bam, done. I promise you, this is money. And if you're the sort who likes to work with metal, because I know Savage Wolf was saying he makes tools and whatnot, if you have pieces this big, or you just make pieces and you end up with stuff like this, you can cut out, etch, make it into a cool shape, whatever the case, and still do the same thing. So you can utilize something with the stuff that you got that is maybe too small for tools. And this was, I swear this was from Hobby Lobby. I don't think this was from Joann's. But yeah, there's the instructions there. You just hold it in place with your thumb, bend it over, then flip it over, do the same thing. Easy day, especially with aluminum. Aluminum is a little softer normally than steel. Oh, actually, it's actually much softer than steel. Yep, could make that. So yeah. Oh hell yeah, you could make this. You probably don't need to go buy it. Yeah. So let me hold this up there so you can screenshot it. There you go. So if you want to make it, have that. And it has helped me to save a lot of scrap. I've sold quite a few bracelets, and then when you have things like where's that other piece? I must have put it back. So I had a piece of ostrich that was not so prominent with the quill markings and everything. You could very clearly see that it was ostrich, but it just didn't feel the same, and they weren't so prominent. Probably not ideal for a wallet or anything like that, but pretty good for a bracelet. Easy day. Silver cuff, had to have the jeweler fit it. Oh, dope. So yeah, these things, this is, between the two of these things, I've saved a bunch of scrap, turned it into a lot of things. Oh man, I completely forgot to do this thing. Like I said I was gonna. To make a rose gold cuff. Do it. Do it. I think you were on a stream before when I brought it up, but this is the pinnacle of doing unnecessary stuff. So this is shell cordovan, and this stuff is about $53 a square foot at the cheapest. You get it from Horween, you're going to be paying close to 60 a square foot for it. And and I stitched it with 14 karat gold wire because why not? So there's that. Don't ever get bored like I am, because then you'll start buying stuff like that. All right, let's bring this there. I think I got everything there. Yep. I think my contractor has seen who I call the mayor of the neighborhood. There's this dog that I believe belongs to my neighbor who can just Houdini himself out of his yard. But he's completely harmless and only wants scratches. Oh yeah, the press is awesome. Oh, building a bunker, super dope. Quite useful, I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, the press helps a whole lot. I don't have a press for everything, but I do have a press for a lot of stuff that is commonly asked for. All right, so doop-de-doo. Yep, so that dog just gets out of the yard all the time, then just wanders up and down the neighborhood. I'm very sure the neighbors in the area are giving him snacks too. But he'll just roll right up to you, tail wagging, and then obviously you're not going to go anywhere until you scratch him for a bit, and then he'll just walk away. Yeah, what's going on?
You got the door closed, man. I ain't coming in.
Okay, well, I am streaming, so just no bad language.
No bad language.
No bad language. I'm sorry.
No soldier mouth. What?
I'm sorry. It's them's the rules. It's YouTube.
Yeah. You are complete out front.
Sweet.
Victory. The exposed wood has been gone over, and I realized we don't want to caulk over the screw holes. I used all-weather screws, and if we go caulking them over, then we have to try and find them if we got to repair anything.
No thank you. No.
And that causes more damage than anything. So yeah,
100%.
I'm gonna get some pictures, and then I'm gonna wrap it up and be out of here.
All right.
So
Appreciate it.
like I said, when you've got the fundage, shift some my way, and I'll start buying supplies for the back porch.
Sweet, sweet.
You got it. You have a blessed day, brother.
Thank you. You have a great one too.
Yeah, since you're streaming, I'm just gonna check out.
Oh man, super awesome. All right, cool. So the cat here, these things, super dope and pretty popular. I will say though, if/when anybody starts buying dies, starts buying dies to cut things, make sure that the holes that are cut that are used for cutting things can actually continue to clear up to the top. Because I found out the hard way that these ones don't. It actually gets narrower towards the top. So as I was using it, the leather wasn't clearing, and it caused it to split open right there. So anytime that I use it, I have to take it out. It doesn't cut it all the way. As you saw here when I had to snatch it out and I had to cut a couple of things. So I can only use this maybe about twice, and then I have to get a needle from one side and then clear it out. So if you're going to get something that's cutting and it has small openings, make sure that you clear those openings. Otherwise, your blade part will open up. It'll spread, and then it won't cut properly. Having said that, the turnaround, or the what you can sell these for more than makes up for it. Because I mean, you buy a bag of key rings, you're paying less than a nickel per key ring. As long as you're not using crazy expensive leather, the time that it takes to put these together, you sell this for $2, you've got a profit. You sell it for $5, you're robbing the public blind. Okay, so I have been streaming for the better part of 3 hours. I greatly appreciate everybody who has been here for it all. But unless there are any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, or other grievances, I'm gonna wrap it up. Make sure I clear all this out. If you haven't already, please make sure you throw me a like. If you do indeed like what I'm streaming, I appreciate it. Other than that, I thank you all for your time and attention. Not a problem, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the interaction. I hope I can help at all with the very long-winded answers that I tend to give. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Like a bunker pandemic. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Have a good evening. I will see y'all on the flip side. I'm Renard, and I'm out. Peace.